USDA's NASS yesterday announced it will discontinue some surveys in the year ahead. And a couple of the surveys that will not get done certainly caught the attention of the grain and livestock producers. We will get the details. And it's the middle of the week. That means it's time for another Farmer Forum.
Live from the 410, buddy good. Via Farm Journal broadcast, this is AgriTalk. This morning we begin with a conversation with Lance Honig from USDA-NASS. Then it's our Farmer Forum with panelists Congressman Chad Ingels and Jay Myers. Directly following the news, Margie Eckelkamp from The Scoop. I'm handsome newsman Davis Michelson. Now, welcome the host of AgriTalk, Chip Flory.
Yeah, I think you might be. I think you might be confused just a touch, Davis.
Huh?
You might be confused. 410.
Truck keeping, buddy. Huh?
410 is not CB lingo.
What? It's not?
No, it's a gauge.
A gauge
of a shotgun. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Perhaps a gauge of a shotgun that may put Tom Turkey at ill ease.
Oh,
perhaps?
yeah, definitely.
Perhaps.
I'm going to try it this year. We've got a single shot that is designed specifically for turkey hunting, and I thought before we cut it loose with the grandkids, I'm going to try it.
You're going to go single shot, huh?
I'm going to go single shot 410 for turkey this year.
That's a bold move, my brother.
Thank you. So it's not, 410, good buddy. It's 410 kaboom.
I guess
good
so.
Buddy.
I stand corrected.
Welcome to AgriTalk. I'm Chip. That is Davis. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, really good. Really good. I'm fired up today. I got a lot of irons in the fire today.
Do you?
Big doings are happening today, so I'm trying to stay focused.
Okay.
But yeah, I feel good. How about you?
Is it anything that we can talk about? Or
you know what? Let's talk about it tomorrow. We'll see how it goes, and then we'll talk about it. How's that?
That's a safety right there. I like that. I respect that.
Safety
I respect
first.
that. That's right. We're going to have a conversation with Lance Honig this morning and then get to the Farmer Forum with Chad Ingels from Iowa, Jay Myers from North Dakota. Looking forward to it.
Should be good.
All right, let's get to the news, bud.
I'm going to start with the NWS weather. Widespread severe thunderstorms have the potential to produce several tornadoes. Listen up, gang. A few of these tornadoes may be strong, EF2 or greater. And widespread damaging winds across parts of the central Gulf Coast states. Heavy to excessive rainfall may lead to flash urban, small stream, and minor to moderate river flooding across the Mid-South into portions of the Florida Panhandle. High winds along with widespread moderate to heavy rain expected to impact the entire eastern seaboard into the Great Lakes Thursday night into Friday morning. An active weather pattern ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And a transition back to the above normal temperatures. We're well on our way. It's 54 degrees in northeast Iowa here this morning. That's already about the normal high. We're heading for close to 70 degrees today.
Awesome. Well, we've got unknown destinations to talk about again today. Private exporters reported daily sales of 254,000 metric tons of soybeans for unknown destinations. That's for the 24-25 marketing year, 2 days in a row, baby.
Yep, keep bringing the demand. The beans need it.
Yep. Well, the annual inflation rate in the United States accelerated for a second straight month to 3.5% in March from 3.2% in February. That was above market forecasts of 3.4%. Compared to the previous month, the CPI rose 0.4%, the same as in February, but above forecasts. The index for sheltering gasoline contributed over half of the monthly increase in the index for all items. The Bureau of Labor Statistics also said on Wednesday that core inflation, which excludes changes in food and energy, remained at 3.8%. Economists expected a core rate for March of 3.7%.
Yeah, not a huge miss, but enough of a miss that makes me think that that the talk of interest rate cuts is being pushed further and further down the line.
Yep. Well, House Ag Committee Chair G.T. Thompson from Pennsylvania expects that his panel will vote on a farm bill package before the end of May. Thompson told Politico he is, quote, anticipating a markup before Memorial Day, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's moving along. I mean, the House is going to have to make the next move so that will hopefully put some pressure on the Senate to follow suit. Although the conversation that we had with Senator Grassley on Monday he was not very optimistic that even if a farm bill does pass the House, that it's going to force any action in the Senate.
Yep. Well, get this, Chip. Costco has ventured into the gold market, selling 1-ounce bars of nearly pure 24-karat gold since late summer 2023. This move coincides with a surge in gold prices, which have risen by over 13% in 2024 alone. Analysts at Wells Fargo project that Costco's revenue from these gold bars could be as high as $100 to $200 million per month,
Wow.
Chip, due to strong sales.
Wow, there you go. Gold from Costco and Bitcoin from ATMs. You don't even need a retirement account anymore. You can just do it all at a convenience store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
USDA's Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service website shows bovine influenza A virus, or BIAV. I call it BHAV because it sounds sexy. Was detected at 2 dairy farms in New Mexico. That brings the total number of confirmed BHAV cases to 20 across 6 states, Chip.
Yeah. Did APHIS label it BIAV?
I think they did, yeah.
Did they?
Were they the ones that came up with the name? Is that what you're asking?
They're not the ones that came up with the name. I know that. That was the bovine practitioners.
Yeah.
I've been looking for a hint that APHIS has accepted that name.
That I can't confirm.
Label. Okay.
Can't confirm. Nope.
Okay. Very good.
Yep.
Very good. All right. Hey, we need to get over to Margie Eckelkamp. Margie, what's the latest on the sustainability programs at the farm level?
Hey, good morning, Chip and everyone. I recently had a great conversation featured on the Scoop podcast with Tim Hushin. He's the Sustainability and Technology Director at The Mill, which is a retailer based there in the Mid-Atlantic region. And they've really done a lot of the tip of the spear sustainability and carbon programs have really been on the forefront when it comes to conservation-focused efforts and the emerging sustainability opportunities for growers. Now, big takeaways from my conversation with Tim were really the necessity to track everything from agronomic recommendations to fertilizer application and how those recommendations are applied out in the field. So this definitely introduces that idea of having that precision ag or data layer intact and how you can use that as the springboard for other enrollment in programs such as carbon or sustainability incentives. Now, the Mill, with Tim being the lead, have been involved in carbon programs for about 3 years. And he really shares there's been challenges at those program adoptions because of the change practice requirement. And in their geography, they've adopted a lot of practices that were qualifying. But he's pretty bullish on the new programs that are emerging and how they're trying to involve maybe some longer term adopters. Another big takeaway I would just like to share is that sustainability really has to be treated as part of the overall ag retail business. And he shares some other really great takeaways from his experience, again, available on the Scoop podcast.
All right, Margie. Excellent. Thank you so much. Appreciate that update. Margie Eckelkamp, editor of The Scoop. Get more at www.thedailyscoop.com. Some changes on the survey work at NASS. We'll find out from Lance Honig, acting director of the Methodology Division there at NASS.
On your favorite radio station or your preferred digital device, AgriTalk is live every weekday.
Welcome back to AgriTalk. Davis, sorry about the confusion over the did APHIS call it AB?
Right.
Let's see. I want to go back to the news story and make sure.
BIAV.
BIAV,
yes.
The bovine influenza A virus.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that I say that, and yesterday we had a segment that was planned on this name change, and then the segment got canceled on us.
Mm-hmm.
Which indicates to me, I don't know what the status of this is, because it's as we talked about in the segment. You don't want the same virus to have two different names in the industry, because all that will do is add to the confusion. So let's get consensus on what this is, what the HPAI, the high path avian influenza virus in bovine, is going to be called.
Yep.
So
well, and you got to the heart of it when we were in the news this morning, and you're like, well, has APHIS accepted this term? I don't know, and I think that's there's a rub there that we need to figure it out. Dealing with
It needs we need to get this figured out and get it properly labeled. Okay, Lance Honig. I used to be able to call him the crops director at NASS, but there's a little bit of a different name on it now. Acting director of the methodology division and acting chair of the Agricultural Statistics Board. Lance, it's good to talk with you again. How are you?
Hey, Chip. Well, it's been an interesting week, so I'm just going to go with okay. How about that?
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Because in some of the changes that were announced by NASS yesterday, Lance, these have been discussed and talked about and debated for quite some time, and all of a sudden it looks like it's going to happen. So what are the changes on the surveys? And I don't know if we need to do the whole list, but there's the some of the bigger reports that we're not going to get in 2024 from NASS that a lot of market participants and industry professionals are used to dealing with, right?
Yeah, that's right. And really, it's really three main items, right, that we can kind of boil it down to. The first, of course, is no July cattle report this year. And that's, certainly a big deal to cattle producers or anybody else that's interested in cattle inventory information. Getting that update in July, we know that's helpful. The second item is there's no county level crop and livestock estimates going to come out beginning with the 24 season. And then last but not least, it's not really a report direct impact, but we're no longer going to be conducting the objective yield survey for cotton. And so those are really the three big things that we announced yesterday. They're pretty significant. And certainly we're not excited about having to do that, but just like anybody else that has a budget to manage, you can only spend what you've got.
Right.
And so we need to be respectful of that. And that's unfortunately sometimes hard decisions like this have to be made.
Right, and they are hard decisions. I get that. There's been some harsh reaction to it. Yeah, I'm sure that you saw what came from the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, said it is disingenuous for the same agency which touts its commitments to transparency in livestock markets to arbitrarily cease production of reports which provide just that. I don't think there's anything arbitrary about this decision, is there?
Well, certainly not to us. I mean, as you mentioned, we've had a lot of conversations about that internally. We scrutinized everything in as much detail as possible. And hey, in a perfect world, we don't want to discontinue anything. In fact, we'd love to do more. That's what we're all about, is providing as many statistics as possible about everything related to agriculture. But the reality is we just can't do everything.
Right. Right. One other thing that NCBA did was called on USDA-NASS to immediately reverse this decision and continue delivering the stated mission. Is that even a possibility that the decision could be reversed at this point?
Well, that's certainly not our intention. I mean, there's going to be a lot of conversations that happen, the rest of this week and into next, I'm sure. With folks, as everybody just processes the magnitude of these changes that we have to make and work through the details. But, it wasn't something we put out as a question mark yesterday. This is what we're planning to do. And so at this point in time, that's the expectation, is those items will not be happening this year.
Okay, so I know that there was a huge amount of internal conversation about these reports and where cuts could be made or might be made. But is there any survey work to show how much and how these reports were being used in the industries?
Well, we do have some metrics, obviously, on, how much the data are accessed and things of that nature. But, there's a couple of things that I think is worth mentioning in terms of how do we decide, what we have to do in a case like this. Well, first off, you have to remember, we didn't get our full year appropriated numbers until just a few weeks ago. And so a big chunk of our year is already gone. And so these cuts that, we're trying to manage and work with, we've got a limited number of programs that are left between now and the end of the fiscal year. And so we're kind of limited from that perspective. Okay. And then one of the key components we look at as we evaluate things like this is, as we look at some of these programs that are out there, in some cases, this is all you get for an industry. And so we looked at things like this that, we understand it's painful and we don't want to make these things go away, but there are other pieces of information for cattle, for example. There are other pieces of information about acreage yield and production beyond what we published at the county level. And when it comes to cotton, we're still going to be able to publish all the same yield and production numbers that we did. We're just going to have one less input into the process. And so we're looking at ways that we can continue to serve all the different industries that we're trying to support out there. And that's a big factor that we consider in these decisions.
Right. Yeah, boy, Lance, the one that has raised the most questions that came my way was about the county estimates on crops, because that data was used in determining federal farm program payments, wasn't it?
Well, not as much as it used to be, Chip. And so, a few years ago, from a crop insurance standpoint, our good friends and partners over at RMA have been utilizing a lot more of their own internal data to support those programs. And then, of course, we've always, thought about the ARC PLC programs, and our close friends over at FSA have also been tapping into a lot more of that RMA-driven data and a lot less of the NASS data. And so we've worked closely with them to ensure that the impact won't be as extensive as a lot of folks might think from the outside looking in.
Okay, good. Now, that's good news on the farm program side and crop insurance side as well. But for the industry folks that are out there that, are working at a cooperative that have their draw area and use those county estimates as a data point to plan for the year ahead, can they also tap into that RMA data?
Yeah, that's going to be a little bit trickier there. And so that, this certainly does leave a hole in some of those uses. And really everything that we, are talking about here leaves a hole somewhere. But the bottom line is those 450 reports that we're putting out, if they weren't all useful, we wouldn't be doing them to start with. And so unfortunately, anything that we do to meet the needs that we have from a budget standpoint are going to have an impact, unfortunately. And so that's the bottom line, is that yes, it's going to leave a gap in areas where these data were used.
Yeah, boy, Lance, what signals should industry professionals that use the NASS survey work, use the NASS data, what signals should they be taking from this decision? Because to me, it seems like if they are cutting the county estimates, or you are cutting the county estimates, that just about anything can be cut. Is that the right read here?
Well, I mean, everything's on the table, right? I mean, I think that is true. As I mentioned before, we're going to, try to make the best decisions that we can. We're going to try to make sure that whatever we do continues to treat folks all across agriculture equitably. We don't want to single anybody out and remove everything that they get. We're going to be careful to kind of, this probably doesn't sound right, trim around the edges, but the point is just that, we're going to try not to leave anybody empty-handed. But as time goes on, if more of this continues to happen, it's only going to get more painful, right? Yeah. Because you just have to go deeper and deeper every time it happens. And hey, we get it. Money's tight everywhere. It's certainly not unique to NASS. We understand that, but we're a relatively small
right.
agency in the grand scheme of things. And so we run out of places to go.
Lance
that aren't
Honig
paying.
from NASS.
Time for Markets Now with the experts from Pro Farmer.
Joining us now, Pro Farmer editor Brian Grady. Some mixed trade in the grains, but boy, hard red winter wheat futures trying to lead the way to the upside here this morning. Brian, what's going on?
Yeah, it's hot, Chip, down in the southern plains right now, and I think that while the winter wheat conditions coming or to start spring here are strong, it's concerns there that they may deteriorate with the heat and dryness that has moved into the plains, and so that's given them traders a reason to cover short positions in HRW contracts in particular. But we're also seeing some of that to a lesser degree, both in spring wheat and SRW contracts.
Okay, very good. And it's providing some spillover support to corn.
Absolutely. And corn, like you mentioned, it's about 1 to 3 cents higher here at mid-morning. Now, it's somewhat being limited by weakness in the soy complex.
Yep.
Soybeans are trading about a dime lower, and so that is limiting buyer interest in corn. And the soybeans, we got another daily export sale this morning to unknown destinations, the second day in a row, and that market is just completely ignoring that. We are seeing broad-based selling across the soy complex with both meal and soy oil under pressure as well.
Okay, let's go over to the livestock trade. The buyers have basically left the hog market. What's happening?
Well, the front month April contract's being supported by the rising cash index, but we've had this string of strong gains and contract highs in the deferred contracts. We had a new contract high again this morning, but now that's being replaced with some profit taking, and we're facing heavy selling pressure at mid-morning. So a key bearish reversal in the deferred contracts at the moment. That's some of that selling is spilling over into the cattle complex as well, with live cattle and feeders both weaker.
Pro Farmer editor Brian Grady on Markets Now.
Opinions expressed on AgriTalk do not necessarily reflect the views of Farm Journal Broadcasting, affiliate stations, or sponsors. When news breaks, the news makers talk about it on AgriTalk with Chip Flory.
Welcome back to AgriTalk. I'm your host, Chip Flory. Glad that you are with us. It's Wednesday. That means that it is time for the weekly Farmer Forum, and we've got Chad Ingels from Iowa joining us. Chad, how are you today, buddy?
Doing good. How are you doing?
Doing just fine, just fine. Everything's looking pretty good in Northeast Iowa here this morning, isn't it?
It is. We got a great day on tap. So
Yes. Yep, no doubt about it. Let's remind everybody, Chad, that you are a hog farmer, row crop farmer, conservation guru up in Northeast Iowa with cover crops, and also a state representative representing District 68. Is that right?
correct.
Okay.
Yep. District 68, which is most of Fayette County, Buchanan, part of Buchanan, and part of Blackhawk in Northeast Iowa.
Gotcha. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, buddy. We'll get to some of the things that are happening in the State House here in just a second. Jay Myers up in North Dakota. Jay, welcome to the Farmer Forum. Everything okay, buddy?
Hey, I'm trying to get through this morning. I caught a head cold last night, but I'll power through it, I guess. Got to do that this time of the year.
Yeah, you do, no question. Now, you got to power through it when you're putting seed in the ground and doing stuff like that. But if you need to take off from us, you just holler on it. But Jay, you're still a director on the USB, right?
No, I got off of that a little over a year ago.
Oh, okay.
So I did my 9 years and been done now.
9 years in and done. But that had to be a rewarding experience for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was, boy, there's a lot to learn and know about the soybean industry. And at the same time, there were some crush plants coming on board up in our state, which was exciting to see. And those one is currently operating. The other one's supposed to be receiving soybeans here July, I believe it is, this summer.
Man. Well, it's been all eyes on North Dakota when it comes to the expansion of the of the crush capacity for oil seeds, Jay. Is it starting to change your market up there at all?
Well, I think next year it will. This year everybody's kind of learning about it, and they're trying to decide, what they should do for varieties and soybeans, and I think it'll be more next year. I think one thing that's going to have to change, most of our soybeans got shipped out, around harvest time, and there wasn't a whole lot stored, but there's probably going to have to be some incentives to keep soybeans around and keep these plants running, year round.
Yeah, no doubt. Chad, here in Northeast Iowa, there is competition between new crush facilities and the river when it comes to who's going to get ownership of beans, isn't there?
Oh, definitely. And I think in my particular location, the crush facility has generally had a better bid than the river has. So
yeah. Hey, and you're talking about Shell Rock, right?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. So, and Shell Rock it's not all that far from you, but it's not right next door. You're probably about evenly split going over to the river versus going to Shell Rock, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of right in the middle. It's about an hour to the river and maybe a short hour over to Shell Rock. Okay.
All right. It's kind of a preview of what Jay should probably expect as far as that increased competition and the increased bid. But, I mean, this isn't anything new to you, Chad. You went through this when the ethanol facility started to come into Northeast Iowa, right?
Oh, definitely. The ethanol facilities boosted our bid considerably, and it's doing the same thing with the soybean crush. So more opportunities, the better for us. Right.
Fantastic. Jay, what are you working on up there today? What's got your attention when it comes to the 24 growing season?
Well, today we're putting getting our seed tenders put together for corn and soybeans that we bring seed out to the field with, and I'm going to hook up to the planters and get them out of the shed, and just general stuff like that, getting stuff ready to go. And we're calving too pretty heavy here. We're not quite half done, but that's coming hot and heavy too. So, and we just had a rainstorm on Sunday and Monday, kind of 2 days of rain, and I think it was 36 degrees when it was raining, so that wasn't very good for the calving.
Right. But what a difference a year makes, dude. A year ago, you were still moving a lot of snow around, weren't you?
Well, we were just talking about it the other day here. April 6th last year was the day the blizzard got over. It was a 3-day blizzard, and we were running a snowblower a mile down to the highway trying to open up 2 feet of snow to get out. So it's a huge difference.
What a huge, unbelievable difference year to year. And being downriver on the Mississippi from you guys, I do want to say I'm glad that you are not dealing with all that snow, because we would be about 10 days, not even 10 days, just short of 10 days from dealing with a flood a year ago on the Mississippi, where we went from some really low water levels coming out of winter to the second highest crest on record because of all the snow melt and how quickly the snow melted up in your part of the world. So glad to know that is not going to be happening this year, dude. We need to get some water in the system, but we can do without the flood, that's for sure. So
I think with that rain we had, it was just enough to fill things up. Some of the tile pumps are just trickling a little bit right now, so I think we're at capacity, ready to roll.
Yep. All right. Chad, when I look at the drought monitor map, you're still in an area, or we are still in an area that has got us at exceptional drought. And the local weather guys are talking about if over the next 3 months we're going to cure this drought, we're going to need 15 inches more than normal to fix the drought. It's dry out there yet, isn't it?
It is. It's super dry, and we've been living hand to mouth the last couple of years as it was.
Yeah.
And the soil profile is just sapped and at this point, and we're going to need some timely rains all along through the summer, and kind of pray, I guess.
Yeah. Well, over the weekend, late last week and into Sunday, we had 2 events here at the house and got 4/10 both times. I mean, we're not going to turn it down. We're going to take it, that's for sure. But we need a whole lot more than what we've gotten to make things comfortable for this planting season, right?
Oh, definitely. And over the same event, weather event, we only had about not quite 3/10. So we're going to hopefully be able to get crop in pretty easily, it looks like, unless we run into a rainy period. But then we'll certainly want to turn the spigots on and get some regular rain.
Right. Okay. All right. Let's go to this. The bill that Governor Reynolds signed into law yesterday, I think it was just yesterday, Chad, about foreign ownership of farmland. What are the details there?
So it doesn't really change anything regarding foreign ownership. It's been illegal since 1980, I think. But prior to that, there were foreign owners of ag land, and then as in some instances, as foreign companies purchase American companies, they may acquire some Iowa farmland. And so what the bill really does is require more transparency. So we want to know who the owners are, if it's some type of corporation or LLC. It's a requirement now that they have to report regularly all the owners, their nationality, country of birth, address, and that includes all the way down to maybe just even an agent for a company that is representing in the state of Iowa. So looking at a lot more transparency on who owns Iowa land, and then also creates provision for the Attorney General to go after complaints and investigate complaints of either not reporting or land maybe in hands other than what's being reported, and creates a penalty schedule as well. So, okay.
Yeah, the provisions for the Attorney General, that's the one that it kind of caught my attention there, because there are some significant, if the information is not being fully disclosed, there are some significant penalties involved in this going forward, right?
Yes, definitely. It's not just a $500 fine and go about your business. They go after them, and we want to make sure companies are reporting.
Yeah, 25% of value of the ground.
Yes, exactly.
That is an incentive to get your reporting right.
Yep.
Yeah, no question about that. Jay, have you got similar rules up in North Dakota?
Well, there was that one ethanol plant, that was trying to go in by Grand Forks, close to the military area there, and they shut that one down, So yeah, I'm not sure of the exact rules, how they all work, but there's been, Chinese trying to buy land, and they've watched over pretty close.
Gotcha. Okay. I can't believe that we are to the break already, but here we are. We're in the middle of a farmer forum. Chad Ingels from Iowa, Jay Myers from North Dakota. We'll find out what is occupying their think time next here on AgriTalk.
I don't know what you're thinking. So call us at 855-4TALK-AG and tell us what's on your mind.
Welcome back to AgriTalk and the Farmer Forum. We've got Chad Ingels from Iowa, Jay Myers from North Dakota. Chad, I want to start with you on this one. What do you make of the changes that we talked about with Lance Honig from NASS at USDA-NASS? Specifically, I'm talking about the decision to cut July cattle report and the county crop estimates. Do you anticipate that having any impact on your year-to-year business?
Probably not, but it really surprised me, especially on the county crop estimates. I mean, seems like we have all relied on getting an idea what those look like and forming trends over time. And but I think at the same time, we have so much data already being put together, as Lance mentioned, the RMA data. If there was a way, and there should be a way, I think, to make that a little more transparent and accessible, that's probably better data in the long run that we could use. But just a matter of making it public or more public than what it is.
Yeah. It's data that I think a lot of growers got used to at least checking it out. You know what I mean, Chad?
Yep, exactly. And I just happened to look at it here recently. I help some other farmers with manure management plans, and we rely on that data to kind of put in planning manure applications over time. Part of the rules state you can use county average yields. And so a majority of farmers, I think, at least start with the county average yields when they're putting the first manure plan together. And if we don't have a good way to go about doing that, it may be a little bit of a hindrance, but hopefully there's another data set that they supply.
Yeah. Well, and as you mentioned, hopefully the RMA data will be available to replace that. Although I don't know exactly how that's going to work. I shouldn't mention that that's even a possibility. I don't know.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It'll be interesting how it all plays out, but I think over time we probably will miss the county crop data unless they come up with a more transparent look at the RMA information.
Right. Okay, Jay, same question to you on the county crop data, but also missing out on the July cattle inventory report with the industry dealing with such a low inventory and searching for any sign that a herd rebuilding is starting. That I'm going to miss that report too.
Right. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people have looked at all those different ways of getting information and people make decisions on them. But I think there's getting to be a lot more companies out there that have faster data coming out, where they're sending out surveys with text and stuff like that. Seems like that plays a role too.
Good point. Yeah. The trick there, and I don't know how difficult it will be, but the trick is getting on the list to participate in the survey that the private companies are doing so that you do have access to the information, right, Chad?
Yeah, definitely. I think he makes a valid point that there are a lot of private companies putting data sets together, but if you're not a member of that group or something associated with them, you might not get a chance to see their data before everybody else, or it might not be quite as public as what the USDA data is.
Right. And, we joke about it, we complain about it, give legitimate, official complaints, put those in place all the time about the quote unquote analysis that is done on the survey work that is compiled by NASS, because they know that the information that's coming out is only as good as the information that is coming in. Therefore, they have some metrics in place that they use to identify the bad data that is coming in. Well, on the privates side of things, guys, if bad data comes in, does it make it all the way to the data coming out, the results coming out of the survey? If it does, do you even want it?
Not necessarily. I don't want some bad data expounds and you make worse decisions and it just kind of builds on itself. So
it certainly does. Certainly does. So yeah, these are all questions that we're going to have to deal with going forward on some of the survey work. Jay, what's occupying your think time right now?
Well, we've been trying to finalize some seed decisions, whether we're going to go with what we've done in the past or change up our acres a little bit. Other years we've gone a little heavier on corn and some corn on corn, but I think this year we're going to, cut back a little bit and be more half and half corn and soybeans.
Okay. All right. What about you, Chad? Anything working on your brain?
Well, here at the Capitol, we're within about hopefully the last week or two of session, and so I'm looking out the window right now, and the grass is pretty green, and I want to get back home, and I need to finish up some fertilizer application and get things going. So.
Yep. How's the hog business treating you?
Oh, not too bad. We sell them to a specialty market, and so our base price has been supported, so that's good. So.
Good. Yeah, absolutely. It's it has been really difficult in the hog industry here of late, and those the niche marketings like you mentioned are providing some relief there. Great job today, guys. Appreciate you. Get better, Jay, and good luck up there, buddy.
Thanks, Chip.
You bet. Jay Myers, North Dakota. And Chad, thanks for all you do, man. Appreciate you.
Hey, always good to talk to you. Thank you.
You bet. Chad Ingels from Iowa, a state representative there. Thank you so much for listening this morning. Come back this afternoon. We're going to have a conversation with Andy Schisler, S&W Trading.